Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Critical Reactions with your host, Bryan. We're starting a new week, and that means a new theme, and I am very excited about this one. We are doing Video Game Soundtracks Week. So the cool thing is, there are your big name composers, your Austin Wintory's, your Darren Korb's, and for the most part, I don't think any of the big ones really landed on the Patreon poll for this week. Well, I take that back. Nobuo Uematsu did get a song request this week, so that's a possibility. But a lot of these composers I can't say I've really heard of. A lot of new names to me, which is exciting. I can't say I've played many of the games on this list, but learning about new composers is something I am always up for, especially if it means we get away from rock and metal music for a week. I'm down for any theme that helps us explore other genres. However, I kind of understand the irony of that, because today we are checking out that is the Patreon page. We are checking out a soundtrack from the Doom 2016, or a song from the Doom 2016 soundtrack. And I haven't played this game, but I have played Doom and Doom 1 and Doom 3. So, I played the classic ones. So I kind of understand probably that this is going to have some metal influences to it, but I'm ready to check out what's going on here. So this is composed by Mick Gordon, and the track is BFG Division. Let's get into this one. Alright, we got some cool techno songs. That is an impressive analog board there. Whoa, that is a fat tone. Yeah, that background, rising range, building intensity. Yeah, very cool use of digital effects. Ooh, put in a little bit of jet in there. Yeah, so heavily riff-based, also working on a bit of like iterative design, where each repetition introduces a new idea. Yeah, I'm loving all these little breaks. Putting those little bits of silence in there is, I think, it's what's really amping up the intensity for me. Yeah, real nice subtle way to introduce this new time signature. We've either moved to a fast 3/4 or a 6/8. Yeah, that rhythmic synergy is giving us a bunch of punchiness. That snare sound hitting the same time as the guitar though. Alright, so we didn't actually enter into a new time signature, but it definitely had a 3-pulse feel there in that transition section. Yeah, so it's definitely triplets, but without the drum to really give it a defining beat. To me, I hear like a 6/4 or 6/8 feel. But yeah, it's definitely just triplets because when we come back, we're in 4/4. Yeah, lots of really cool ambient sounds. We've really transitioned into more of an electronic idea right here. Dang. Just looking at this guy's digital work, though, is mind-bending. See, we ended on that 3-pulse feel. And we're back to 4. So I wonder if we're actually moving to 3 on those, or if it's just the feeling of 3 using triplets in 4. I'll tell you though, it is groovy. I just noticed that it does a really heavy bend, despite it being such a low note, still getting a little bend out of it. Very cool. Almost sounds like a hard drive failing there at the end. But yeah, I can dig that. Yeah, so I think that's the end. Yeah. That's is an interesting song for sure. Because it is sort of a medium point between rock and electronic music. We see, I mean, yes, the main punchiness of the song comes from that guitar, but the guitar sound also seems to be heavily modified. Um, it is very gritty and very wide, and it's going through probably quite a few different modulations, whether that's done with some of the stomp pads he has or it's some effects that he's adding digitally in his DAW. It's very it's still a heavy metal guitar tone, but it's very different. It's more digital than some of the most of the guitar tones we've listened to on this channel from the 300 bands we've checked out so far. Um, it's like I said, it definitely it feels more electronic to me than most stuff we've heard. And so it really lends itself into being more of an electronic track than an electronic track that wants to be metal than a metal track with some electronic inspirations. Um, I think that this guitar tone could be replicated digitally as well, and remove the instrumental portion completely from it, which I would not suggest. I've mentioned many times before, I'm a huge fan of performance. I like to see things done, uh, played on an instrument if possible, rather than just subjected to some sort of backing track. And with that said, I do enjoy the fact that it seems a lot of the ambient noises were handled with a keyboard. Even though they might have been created digitally, they were still performed with the keyboard. And the guitar part was performed with the guitar. I think that is like I said, I think it's something that could have been done digitally, completely, 100%, given all the modulations that are on it. But I'm a fan that it was done with an actual guitar. Um, as for the music itself, it is repetitious, but I don't. I think that might be something that I can't bring up too often this week because video game music, aside from themes or leitmotifs, are designed to be like if we're talking about environmental music, which is kind of where I see this fitting in, or maybe combat music, it's designed to be infinitely loopable because developers don't know how long the player is going to need the track to exist. Um, so yeah, I think repetition is just going to be something we're going to have to deal with this week, and it's not something I can really detract because it's something you have to compose for. Your songs have to be loopable so that they can fit into the video game format. Unless you're making stuff for, cutscenes or anything where length is controlled. And that's where themes and leitmotifs usually come into play. Um, but yeah, right here with this song, I think it captures a lot of intensity, right? That is definitely the style here. It is a lot of the lowest string on the guitar, a lot of it. The tone is just like I said, it's gritty, it's wide, it is a fat tone. It is just in your face, punchy, gritty, and that's the Doom Marine, isn't it? He no words, just loud and violent, and that's kind of the guitar tone. And looking at the dude's setup, Mick Gordon, I said it was impressive just looking at the hardware itself. And then of course when he started doing his software stuff, it blows my mind. I am not. It's weird because I am a technical person. I actually have a degree in computer science, um, and that's a secondary love of mine next to music. My technology and music live side by side in my brain. They are two of my favorite hobbies, pastimes. Um, but for the life of me, digital music escapes me. I am to this day still more of a pen on paper, give me some sheet music kind of person rather than working inside of a digital workstation and messing around with engineering stuff and linking buses and VSTs and all of this stuff. Like that is just give me some acoustic instruments and some sheet music and I'll give you, a good song, but ask me to put it into a DAW and to mix it and master it and to mess with all these awesome things that he did. It's just, I don't know. That's not something I have a lot of experience with. And just to see all of the things that he goes through to achieve his specific sounds is phenomenal. I love every minute of that. Um, and this ties back into what I was saying about the guitar kind of embodying the Doom Marine. Is that he knows the tone that he wants or that he needs. He knows exactly the feeling that his voices are going to need to portray, and the dude just he goes through a bajillion modifications on these voices. It seems like to achieve that, and you've got to give props for that sort of dedication. I don't know if where his musical background lies. I don't know if he's a metal guy. I don't know if he's an electronic guy. If he's a pen and paper guy, and he learned all of this modulation stuff, for the soundtrack. But having the dedication to it almost seems like he didn't want to um, undercut his vision in any way. There's a lot of work going into just these tones here. And I know I've spent a little bit of time on this already, but I just feel like it really needs saying. And the dude needs praise for these tones. The music aside, just the sounds that he's created really evoke the idea of these fast paced science fiction demons, uh, narrow futuristic corridors and the violence that exists in these spaces. Everything about this song embodies that. Um, we have all of these minor almost atmospheric environmental sounds that are going on outside of the music. It has a very metallic technological bend to a lot of these atmospheric sounds. It sounds like metal scraping, things creaking. It is the sounds that you would expect from futuristic buildings, especially maybe an empty futuristic building where the in a traditional house where you would get the creaking of the walls, which would be wood, or the footsteps on a wood floor, you have this, everything sounds metallic. It is these metals scraping together, not wood bending against each other. And it's a totally different auditory texture for that, and he just leans real heavy into that. Um, and like I said, you get that atmospheric sound which captures the space of the game, the space of the story. And then you mix that with the harsh, super harsh snare, and then that super wide, fat, distorted guitar, and you get this real punchiness that embodies the Doom guy. And then just it's this violence inside of this sparse creakiness, and I feel like that just captures the essence of the footage that we just saw very well. So just on a sort of level, looking at how the music might embody the ideas of the game, I think that this just nails it. Like I said, I don't even care what the music does. The sounds that were achieved are perfect. Mick is just his work should not be his work into finding these sounds needs to be applauded 100%. Now the music didn't really hit me as far as what's on the paper. If we look away from the tones themselves and look at the notes, um, I mean, we have some really cool rhythmic stuff going on, especially in that genty section. But it's kind of just the same two or three notes being played over and over in just like a really super punchy way. So I don't really think that there's much I can talk about what would be in the sheet music for this song, which is why I started with the tones of the track. This is really a song about atmosphere and feel more so than about writing a strong melody. And like I said, I think that just fits with the game and the environment and the character, and it fits with the Doom game. Doom's not really a deep game, so having a deep melody doesn't really make sense. It's about having just a jamming soundtrack just to nod your head to and to have this violent sound um, leading the charge. So, yeah, interesting stuff. I might have to look into Mick Gordon stuff. Like I said, I'm really interested where his background is because this does incorporate a couple of things, but uh, the digital aspect, I think, is what's most heavily utilized. The guitar work is very light, which makes me think that he's not necessarily a metal musician or a metal composer. He just knows what is going to produce the tone that's closest to what he needs so that there's as least amount of modulation that needs to be done on it. And the guitar just happens to have that punchiness. Not to mention that if you go back to the first two Doom games, they are heavily inspired by 90s metal. So I'm sure that had a little bit to do with it as well. Um, but maybe 80s metal. I think it might have been 80s metal because I'm trying to think of when the first two Dooms came out. But yeah, they were metal inspired though. So maybe that's also why he chose the instrument. But it is more sparsely included than the digital aspects and the keyboard modulation and the environmental sound effects stuff that was going on um, underneath all the guitar and piano work, or keyboard work, I should say. So I'd almost say he comes from an electronic background and sort of leaned into some heavier, harsher sounds to achieve this metal esque song. I assume the soundtrack's like this, but the song itself. But yeah, like I said, I'm gonna have to look into Mick, see what else he's done. Definitely, I can't say I've heard his name before other than Doom. This soundtrack. I don't know if this is his breakout debut or if he's done other works. Really, really curious about that now. But yeah, fantastic suggestion. We don't talk about this too often because it's not usually my wheelhouse. I am more about harmony, melody, and time, and basically what can be written on paper, rather than tone and stuff like this that's done digitally, the digital part of music. Um, so this is really cool. A little bit outside my wheelhouse, but I think I had I think I had some good analysis for it, even though it's not necessarily my strong suit as far as analysis goes. But it is cool to kind of push myself and have you guys push me outside of my boundaries, outside of my usual boundaries, I guess is a way to word that, and to listen and try to analyze stuff that is a little different for me. And this definitely suits that. Something that's more atmospheric and textural rather than what would be musical, melodic, harmony. I don't know. I don't want to I don't want to put down textural work, but I don't know how to differentiate it from real music in a sense. I don't have a good term for music that focuses on harmony and melody and more traditional composition techniques. So I gotta look into that so I have a better way to talk about the two styles of writing. Anyways, those are my thoughts on Mick Gordon's BFG Division, written for the Doom soundtrack. This is where you guys come in. No, hit me up in the comments. Let me know what you thought. All right. Anything that you enjoyed or didn't enjoy about it, any sort of background or extra information about Mick or how this album came to be, or maybe where he came from, his background, let me know. Hit me up. And description box above the comment section if you want to check out some links adjacent to the channel, the Patreon if you'd like to vote on future themes or songs. That's the way to go about that. Also the Twitter, Discord, all sorts of links are in there. Like, subscribe, and ring the bell. All three things help out the channel immensely. And I'll be back tomorrow, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 10 p.m. UTC, as usual, with the second highest voted track for this theme. And then, as usual, also Wednesday and Thursday will be randomly selected, and Friday will be my personal selection from the list, which I haven't picked yet. I looked through the list, and it's like I said, I don't really recognize anything. I haven't really played any of the games, and a lot of the composers are not people I've heard of. So I don't really know what to pick yet. We'll figure that one out later this week. Until next time, though, remember to be critical and not cynical of the music you listen to, and have a fantastic morning, afternoon, or evening whenever you choose to watch my videos.